Dear students and mathematics lovers, please welcome to the YouTube channel Mathematics Students Helper. At the present video, our topics is about ring theory. This is part 4. Here I discuss divisor of 0 versus unity. That is, there is a theorem which give the relation between divisor of 0 and unity, and then I give the definition of unit and relation between divisor of 0 and unit, and at last I will show that the set of all units in a ring forms a group with respect to multiplication. However, I hope that you understand the video. Please see all the video, don't skip it. If you understand the video, please like it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe the channel to get more updates. Okay, now we will go a theorem which is a relation between divisors of 0 and unity. A non-trivial finite ring having no divisor of 0 is a ring with unity. This is the statement of theorem. I write it as theorem 4 because in the previous video the last theorem was theorem 3. So here I start from theorem 4. The statement is that a non-trivial finite ring having no divisor of 0 is a ring with unity. Suppose R be a ring which contains finite number of elements and it is non-trivial. Non-trivial means it contains more than one element, that is it contains a element other than the 0 element, because in trivial ring the ring contains only the 0 element. So in a non-trivial ring the ring contains at least 2 elements. However, here the ring contains more than one element and it is finite ring, that means ring contains finite number of elements and it having no divisor of 0. It has no divisor of 0. If it contains divisor of 0, then you can get two non-zero elements such that their product must be 0. This means it contains divisor of 0, but here it contains no divisor of 0. It means the product, that is the multiplication of any two non-zero elements, must be non-zero. However, if product of two elements is 0, then you can conclude that either of them must be equal to 0 because it contains no divisor of 0. Okay, such type of ring must contains unity. Okay, so a non-trivial finite ring having no divisor of 0, suppose a ring contains finite number of elements and having no divisor of 0, then it must contain unity. We know that in general in ring may or may not contain unity, but such type of ring, that is the ring which contains finite number of elements and having no divisor of 0, must possess its unity. Okay, however we will go in proof. Suppose R be a finite ring containing n plus 1 elements. Suppose R equal to a0 a1 dot dot an, where a0 is as the 0 element. Instead of n plus element, you can take R as a finite ring containing n elements. However, I take n plus 1 elements because I want to say that this is 0 element and the remaining elements, that is n elements a1 a2 an, are non-zero. Okay, if you take this is as n, so non-zero elements in the ring will be n minus 1, but here I take number of elements in R is n plus 1, where there is a 0 element which is a0 and the remaining elements are non-zero, that is the ring contains exactly n non-zero elements. Okay, let us consider the products a0 a1 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 a2 a1 dot dot an dot a1. Actually we take post multiplication of a1 with every element in the set. Okay, post multiplication means a1 is the right side of a0, a0 dot a1, a1 dot a1, a2 dot a1, an dot a1. So a1 is the post multiplication of every element. Okay, we consider that products. Among the products, all the elements is element in R ring, because we know that ring the set R is closed with respect to multiplication. So all the elements, all the above elements must be element in R. Among the elements, a0 a1 must be equal to 0, because here we claim that, here we assume that a0 is 0 element, that is a0 is 0. So 0 dot a1 equal to 0. This 0 is the 0 element in the ring. However, we claim that the remaining elements, that is a1 a1 a2 a1 dot dot an are all non-zero element, because because R contains no divisor of 0. Since R contains no divisor of 0, so multiplication of two non-zero element must be non-zero. Here A1 are non-zero, so this product must be non-zero. A2 A1 are non-zero, so that product must be non-zero. AN A1 are non-zero, so the product must be non-zero. This happens due to R contains no divisor of 0. Now we claim that all the elements A1 A2 A1 dot dot AN A1 are all distinct, because if they are not distinct, therefore among the elements, among the above elements, that is among that elements, two element must be equal, because if AI A1 equal to AJ A1 for some I not equal to J, here we assume that any two elements, suppose AI something A1 and something A1 must be equal. Suppose AI equal dot A1 equal to AJ dot A1, here AI AJ are distinct elements. We assume that these are equal, but we will show that this is not possible, and then we can conclude that these are all distinct elements. Okay. However, if AI dot A1 equal to AJ dot A1 are equal, then AI dot minus AJ dot A1 must be equal to 0. Okay. Here you see that here A1 is non-zero element. Okay, because in R only 0 element is the A0 and the remaining elements are non-zero elements, therefore A1 is a non-zero element in the ring. Okay, this is non-zero element, again R contains no divisor of 0, therefore this must be equal to 0. Otherwise, if it is non-zero and it is originally non-zero, if this is also non-zero, therefore then the product must be non-zero, because R contains no divisor of 0, implies that AI minus A is equal to 0, because A1 is non-zero and R contains no divisor of 0. Okay. So AI equal minus AJ equal to 0, that implies that AI equal to AJ. This is a contradiction, because AI I not equal to J, we assume that I not equal to J, so AI and AJ are distinct elements, so this is contradiction. This contradiction arises due to our assumption, so you can conclude that all the elements are distinct. Okay. However, we see that these are all non-zero and distinct, so these elements are all non-zero and distinct elements, and the elements are n in number. Okay. Now we claim that we assert that one of the above elements must be equal to A1. There are n elements. We assert that exactly one element between the n elements must be equal to A1. Okay. Why? Because you see that here number of non-zero elements are n. These are all distinct. If this is distinct from that elements, so number of non-zero elements is at least n plus 1, because there are n elements and there is another one elements, so therefore n plus 1 elements. Okay. This happens if A1 is distinct from every elements of the n elements. Okay. So otherwise, if these are not equal to A1, then what happens? Then R contains at least n plus 1 elements, n plus 1 non-zero elements. There are n non-zero elements, and this is another non-zero element. So in this case, R contains at least n plus 1 non-zero elements. This is a contradiction, because R contains exactly n elements. So one of the element must be equal to A1. Suppose AP dot A1 equal to A1. Okay. It may be A1 A1, it may be A2 A1, it may be A3 A1. However, we assume that as AP. Okay. Again, similarly, if you consider the products, the products is in the previous process. In that process, we take post multiplication of A1, but here I take pre multiplication of A1. That is, we multiply A1 to every elements of the ring. That is A1 dot A0, A1 dot A1 dot dot A1 dot A2 dot dot A1 dot AN. And by similar process, we can find an by same approach, we must get an element, suppose AQ in R, such that A1 dot AQ equal to A1. Here we get some element AP such that AP dot A1 equal to A1. Here I get an element AQ such that A1 dot AQ equal to A1. However, here AP plays the role of unity. Here also AQ plays the role of unity. Here actually AP is left identity, here AQ is right identity if A1 is arbitrary, but here I take A1 a fixed element, but if it holds for all elements in the ring, that is for A2, A3, then we can conclude that AP is left identity and AQ is right identity, and then we have to show that AP equal to AQ. However, please remember that two relations, AP dot A1 equal to A1 and A1 dot AQ equal to A1. We use that two relations later. Okay. For unity, we take B as arbitrary non-zero element in R. However, if B will 0, then what happens we discuss later. However, here I take B as an arbitrary non-zero element in the ring. Then one element of A1, A1, A2, A1 dot dot AN, A1. Here we take all the non-zero elements in first process. When I take the post multiplication of A1, then these are n elements, n non-zero elements. Therefore, this must, one of the element must be equal to B. Otherwise R contains at least n plus 1 non-zero elements. Okay. So one of the elements must be equal to B1, and one element of the products by post pre-multiplication of A1, that is A1, 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 A2 dot dot A1 AN must be equal to B. Otherwise R contains n plus, at least n plus 1 non-zero elements. Okay. So among the elements, one of the element must be equal to B. Okay. There are n non-zero elements and this is another non-zero element. So total number of non-zero elements is n plus 1. This is minimum non-zero elements. There may be another non-zero element. Okay. If B is distinct from that, but if, when B is distinct from that, these elements, therefore R contains at least n plus 1 element. So B must be equal one of the elements of that. Okay. Similarly, B must be equal to that elements. Here the products, in the products we take the pre-multiplication of A1, here I take post multiplication of A1. However, among the elements, one of the element must be equal to B. Suppose AR dot A1 is B, and here suppose A1 dot AS is equal to B. Okay. Now FE dot B, FE dot B, here you can take B, value of B. Here value of B are there are two values of B. One is AR dot A1 and another is A1 dot A1, A1 dot AS. But you can not take any value. Here you have to take FE dot A1. That is, you have to take A1 dot AS. Why? You can understand later. If I take the value of B as A1 dot AS, then this will be FE dot A1 dot AS. Since multiplication is associative, so we can take calculate FE dot A1 at first. That is, you can take bracket between FE dot A1, that is FE dot A1 dot AS. Again, you know the FE dot A1 is FE dot A1 is A1, because in previous page I you see that FE plays the role of left identity. So since FE dot A1 equal to A1, then FE dot B, here FE dot B means FE dot A1 dot AS. Here FE dot A1 is A1, so this will be A1 dot AS, A1 dot AS. Again, A1 dot AS means B. Okay, so we get FE dot B equal to B. Okay, if you take here the value of B as AR dot AS, then you cannot calculate in that way. Okay, so you have to take here, when you take FE dot B, so you have to take the value of B as A1 dot AS. However, now we calculate B dot AQ, B dot AQ. Similarly, by similar approach, we can take the value of here B is AR dot A1, therefore this will be AR dot A1 dot AQ. But here multiplication is associative, so you can take bracket between A1 dot AQ. Okay, but in previous page we know that A1 dot AQ is A1. Okay, so B dot AQ will be, here B dot AQ is AR dot A1 dot AQ. Just I put A1 in the place of A1 dot AQ. So B dot AQ will be AR dot A1. This is A1 from that relation which is discussed in previous page. This is AR dot A1, but AR dot A1 means B, so there is B. Okay, so we get for every non-zero element B in R, B dot AQ equal to B and FE dot B equal to B. Here FP plays the role of left identity and AQ plays the role of right identity. Okay. Now we have to show that FE and AQ are equal, because we know that in when identity exists, then left identity and right identity are both are equal. Okay. Since this relation holds for all non-zero element B, okay, in particular AP is a non-zero element. So if I put here AP in the place of B, then what happens? Putting B equal to AP in the first relation, we get FE dot AQ equal to FE. Just put here B equal to FE, so here B, here B, so you have to put FE in the place of B, therefore FE dot AQ equal to FE. Okay. Similarly, if you put here AQ in the place of B, then this will be FE dot AQ equal to AQ. Okay. Here FE, AQ are non-zero elements, because you know that when I take the products, FE dot A1 was A1, so there FE was non-zero element. However, here FE dot AQ equal to FE, but here FE dot AQ equal to AQ. So FE and AQ are equal. Thus FE and AQ are equal. And then from above relations we can write B dot AP, because AQ and AP are equal. B dot FE equal to B and AP dot B equal to B. That is AP dot B equal to B dot FE equal to B. Therefore B dot AP equal to A dot for all non-zero element in R. But AP will be identity or unity if it holds for all elements, but here B is non-zero element. But what happens if B is zero element? If B is zero element, then this is obvious, that is B dot FE equal to 0 dot FE equal to FE dot 0 equal to 0. Thus we can conclude that B dot FE equal to AP dot B for all elements in the ring R. So here AP is the unity in R, hence the ring contains unity. I hope that you understand the theorem. If you have any problem, please comment or you can mail me. The mail ID is given in description box. However, we will go about unit. At first I give the definition of unit and then I give some examples and theorems. Let R be a non-trivial ring with unity I. R be a non-trivial ring, that is R contains more than one elements, more than non-zero elements, with unity, that means it contains multiplicative identity which is I. An element A in R is said to be unit in R if there exists an element B in R such that A dot B equal to B dot A equal to I. Suppose here R contains more than one elements and also here R contains I, that is multiplicative identity. In such type of ring, a element A in R is said to be unit if we can find another element B such that A dot B equal to I and B dot A equal to I. Okay. That is here B is the multiplicative inverse in A. So in other words, we can say that an element in a ring is said to be a unit if it has multiplicative inverse in the ring. Okay. When an element has multiplicative inverse, that is here multiplicative inverse of A is B. When multiplicative inverse of element A exists, then we can say that A is a unit in the ring. Now we give some examples. At first we take set of real numbers and set of rational numbers. Here all the elements, all the non-zero elements are units. Because in real number, suppose 3 is a real number. If you multiply 1 by 3 with 3, then this will be 1. Okay. So 3 is a unit because 1 by 3 is a multiplicative identity of multiplicative inverse of 3, and similarly 1 by 3 is also a unit. Okay. Root 2 is a unit because if you multiply 1 by root 2 with root 2, the result will be 1, that is a unity in R. So root 2 is also a unit, and similarly 1 by root 2 also another unit. Okay. But 0 has no multiplicative inverse, so 0 is not a unit in ring of real numbers. Similarly, in rational number, every non-zero elements must be unit. Every non-zero rational number must be unit. Now we give another example, say a ring of integers z plus dot. Here the units are only 1 and minus 1. We know that z plus dot is a ring with unity. Here unity is 1. Okay, so 1 is a unit because 1 dot 1 means 1, and minus 1 is another unit because if you multiply minus 1 with minus 1, then result will be 1. That is, minus 1 is the self multiplicative inverse of self multiplicative inverse. Okay, but the remaining elements has no multiplicative inverse, because suppose you imagine a integer, suppose plus 5. So if you want to find you want to get the result as 1, then you have to multiply 1 by 5 with 5. That is, 5 into 1 by 5 is 1, but 1 by 5 is not an element in z. So 5 has no multiplicative inverse in z plus dot. Okay, so here the only two elements, that is 1 and minus 1, has multiplicative inverse. That is, in other words, we can say that 1 and minus 1 are units in z plus dot. In another example, in ring z6 plus dot, that is integers modulo 6, the units are only 1 bar and 5 bar, because the elements in z6 are 0 bar, 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar and 4 bar, 5 bar. 0 bar has no multiplicative inverse, you know that. 1 bar is the unity and 1 bar has self inverse, self multiplicative inverse, so 1 bar is unit. But 2 bar, for 2 bar you cannot find any element in z6 such that 2 bar dot that element is 1 bar. Just check it. 2 bar dot 0 bar is 0 bar, not equal to 1 bar. 2 bar dot 1 bar is 2 bar, that is not equal to 1 bar. 2 bar dot 3 bar, that is 6 bar, equal to 0 bar, that is not equal to 1. 2 bar dot 4 bar equal to 8 bar, that means 2 bar. This is not equal to 1 bar. 2 bar dot 5 bar, that is 10 bar, this is equal to 4 bar. This is not equal to 1. So you cannot find any element whose multiplication with 2 bar is unity. So 2 bar has no multiplicative inverse. So 2 bar is not a unit in z6 plus dot. Similarly, 3 bar and 4 bar has no multiplicative inverse, but 5 bar has multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse of 5 bar is 5 bar, because if you multiply 5 bar with 5 bar, then result will be 25 bar. 25 bar means if you divide 25 by 6, the remainder will be 1. So 25 bar is equal to 1 bar. So 5 bar multiplication 5 bar is 1 bar. That is, 5 bar is self inverse, self multiplicative inverse. So we can conclude that 5 bar is another unit. Okay, so z6 plus dot has only two units, that are these are 1 bar and 5 bar. Now give some notes. If A be a unit in R, then A has unique multiplicative inverse. You know that, and element is said to be unit if it has multiplicative inverse. Now our question is, what is the number of inverse? Number of multiplicative inverse. The answer is, number of multiplicative inverse is unique. So the note is that if A be a unit in a ring, then A has unique multiplicative inverse and at the ring, in the ring. Now I give another note. Note 2, 0 element has no multiplicative inverse. In non-trivial ring, 0 element has no multiplicative inverse. That is, in a non-trivial ring, 0 element is not a unit. Okay, you cannot find multiplicative inverse of 0 element. So you can conclude that 0 element is not a unit. You can prove that two notes. You get the notes in every standard books. You can prove it or try to yourself. Okay. However, I give another theorem which is a relation between divisor of 0 and units. The statement is that if A be a unit in a ring R with unity, then A is not a divisor of 0. If A is a unit in a ring R with unity, then A is not a divisor of 0. Since A is unit, so obviously the ring contains the unity. So here we imagine, here we consider a ring with unity, and suppose I have an unity in R. So A must be a not is not a divisor of 0. Okay. So if you see that A is a divisor of 0, so you can conclude that A is not a unit. Okay. Here the result is that when A is unit, then A is not a divisor of 0. But when you see that a element is a divisor of 0, so you can conclude that A is not a unit. This is the contrapositively of that theorem. I give it in a corollary. However, now I give the proof of the above theorem. If A is a unit in a ring with unity, then A is not a divisor of 0. Proof: let R be a ring with unity and A be a unit in R. Since A is unit in R, therefore A has multiplicative inverse. Then A inverse exists in R, and A dot A inverse equal to A inverse dot A is unity, that is I. Let B be an element in R such that A dot B equal to 0. Clearly here, since R is a ring with unity, R is non-trivial, and here A is unit, therefore we know that in a non-trivial ring, 0 element has no multiplicative inverse, but here A is unit, so A has multiplicative inverse, that is A is clearly non-zero. So here is A is non-zero. If you can find a non-zero element B, if you can find a non-zero element B, so you can conclude that A is a left divisor of 0. Otherwise, A is not a left divisor of 0. Okay, if you cannot find any non-zero B, then we can conclude that A is not a left divisor of 0. That is, if A dot B equal to 0 implies that, always implies that B equal to 0, so you can conclude that A is not a left divisor of 0. Okay, repeat again. Here you have to show that A is not a divisor of 0. For that purpose, we consider A dot B equal to 0. Here A is non-zero, but we don't know about the nature of B. If B is non-zero, then here A is non-zero, B is non-zero. Product of two non-zero elements is 0. So you can conclude that A is left divisor of 0. But if B is always 0, okay, so A is not a left divisor of 0. Okay. However, in the relation A dot B equal to 0, we multiply A inverse in left, that is by pre-multiplication of A inverse in the relation, we get that result. A inverse dot AB is equal to A inverse dot 0. Again, I use it here by associative property, that is A inverse dot A must dot B equal to 0. Again, this is I, that is I dot B equal to 0. Again, I dot 0, I dot B means B, that is B equal to 0. So A dot B equal to 0 implies that B equal to 0. This shows that A is not a left divisor of 0. Okay. Now we will show that B is not also a right divisor of 0. For that purpose, let C be an element in R such that C dot A equal to 0. Okay. By similar argument, we can show that C is a 0, C is 0, so A is not a right divisor of 0. For that purpose, we have to multiply that relation C dot A equal to 0 by post multiplication by A inverse. We get that result. The right hand side must be 0, because 0 dot some element is always 0. In left hand side, we know that multiplication is associative, so bracket enclosing A and A inverse, that is, this will be here, this will be C dot in the bracket A dot A inverse. This is equal to 0. Again, A dot A inverse means I, so C dot I equal to 0 implies that C dot C equal to 0. Thus here C dot A equal to 0 implies that C equal to 0. So we can conclude that A is not a right divisor of 0. So here you show that A is not left divisor of 0 and A is not right divisor of 0. Hence A is not a divisor of 0. So when A is a unit, then A is not a divisor of 0. The theorem can be written in another form, which is in corollary. If A is a divisor of 0, then A is not a unit. Okay. It is just, you have to prove that. Just suppose A is a unit. Here is given that A is a divisor of 0, then you have to show that A is not a unit. We will prove it by contradiction. For that purpose, you have to assume that A is not A is a unit. So when A is a unit, then by previous theorem the result will be A is not a divisor of 0, but here given that A is a divisor of 0. Okay, so contradiction. So A is not a unit. Okay, I hope that you understand this theorem also. I give last theorem in the video. Theorem 6. The set of all units in a ring with unity forms a group with respect to multiplication. If you consider all the units in a ring with unity, a ring contains unity, that is multiplicative identity. Such type of ring, in such type of ring, you have to consider all the units, that is all the elements whose have multiplicative inverse. The collection of all units forms a group with respect to multiplication. You have to prove it. Suppose R be a ring with unity, and let capital U be the set of all units in of the ring R. All units in the ring R. Okay. You know that in a non-trivial ring, unity has multiplicative inverse. Unity is self multiplicative inverse, that is inverse of I is equal to I, that is I dot, because I dot I equal to I. Okay. So I is a unit. Since I is also a unit, we can conclude that U is non-empty. Okay. Now we have to show that U is a group. For that purpose we have to prove 4 conditions. At first U is non-empty, but you have to show 4 conditions. The conditions are closure property, associative property, identity property, and inverse. Okay. Now if prove all the condition. At first we have to prove closure property. For that purpose we have to take 2 elements. Suppose A and B are 2 elements in U, then A, B has multiplicative inverse in R. Okay. Closure property means if for all A, B in U, A dot B is in U. When A dot B is in also is a member of U also, then we can show that U is closed under multiplication. Now AB will be an element in U if A dot B is a unit, that is if A dot B has multiplicative inverse. Okay. Now we have to show that A dot B has multiplicative inverse. Since AB has multiplicative inverse, therefore A inverse B inverse is in R, that is the inverse of AB, an element in R, and A dot A inverse, and here since A inverse B inverse in R, therefore A inverse dot B inverse and B inverse dot A inverse are the members of R, because R is closed with respect to multiplication. Okay. Again, since A inverse and B inverse are inverses of A and B respectively, so you can get A dot A inverse equal to A inverse dot A equal to I, and B dot B inverse equal to B inverse dot B equal to I. Now AB into B inverse dot A inverse. You know that AB whole inverse is B inverse dot A inverse in a group. This is a standard result. Here I prove it again. Here A dot B inverse dot A inverse, you have to calculate it, and you have to show that this is equal to I. So here this is equal to just since multiplication in a ring associative, just we have to shift bracket between B and B inverse. So here A dot B into B inverse dot A inverse. Here B dot B inverse means I, that is A dot I dot A inverse. This is equal to I. Okay. So here B inverse minus B inverse dot A inverse is the right identity. Okay. Now you have to prove this is a left identity. For that purpose we have to take B inverse dot A inverse at first, and then you have to multiply it with A dot B. At first we use the associative property of multiplication. This will be B inverse dot A inverse dot A dot B, and this is I. So B inverse dot I dot B, this means I. Okay. Thus we get A dot B inverse dot A inverse equal to B inverse dot A inverse dot A dot B equal to Y. So B inverse dot A inverse is the multiplicative inverse of A dot B, that is A dot B has multiplicative inverse, and the multiplicative inverse of A dot B is B inverse dot A inverse. Since A dot B has multiplicative inverse, we can conclude that A dot B is a unit in R. Since A dot B is a unit, so it must be an element of U, because U contains all the elements, all the units in R. Since U contains all the units in R, thus A dot A B in U implies that A dot B is in U, that is U is closed with under multiplication. Now we prove associative property. We know that associative property is an inherent property, that is if a mother set in a mother set associative property holds, then subset of the mother set also satisfy the associative property. Since U subset of R and multiplication is associative on R, therefore multiplication is also associative in U. Okay. Since U is a subset of R and multiplication is an inherent property, multiplication associative is holds in R, so multiplication is also holds in U because it is a inherent property. Now you prove U identity, that is multiplicative identity here. We know that I is an element in U, that is I has multiplicative inverse, self multiplicative inverse, so I is a unit, so I is an element in U, and you know that A dot I equal to I dot A equal to A for all A in U. This is the relation, this is the nature of unity. So we can conclude that U contains unity. Therefore, I is the identity in U. At last, I give the inverse. For the purpose, let A be an element in U. Then A is a unit in R. A is a unit in R means A has multiplicative inverse. Therefore, A inverse is in R, and A dot A inverse equal to A inverse dot A equal to I. From that relation, we can conclude that A is a multiplicative inverse of A inverse. A is a multiplicative inverse of A inverse. That is, A inverse is also a unit because A inverse has multiplicative inverse. A inverse has multiplicative inverse. We know that this element, that is A inverse, has multiplicative inverse if A inverse dot B equal to B dot A inverse is I. Here A is equal to B, that is inverse of A inverse is A. A inverse whole inverse is A. So A inverse has multiplicative inverse, that is A inverse is a unit in R. So A inverse is an element of U. Thus for all A in U, A inverse is also in U. Thus every element in U has inverse in U. So from that two relations, that is from closure property, associative property, identity and inverse, we can conclude that U dot is a group. Okay. I hope that you understand that video also. Please see another videos, previous videos and post videos. All the links of the videos are given in description box. Please see the description box. Anyway, thank you.